Can you share more about the study design of the clinical trial? Yeah, so, we really followed the protocols that Mayo Clinic and University of Manitoba set out. And it was meant to be a really fair and impartial evaluation of the effects of our foods. So, number one, we picked people, and I would say Mayo and University of Manitoba picked participants who didn't have any conditions that could affect cholesterol reading. So there were no diabetics, for example, in our trial. There were no patients that had, thyroid function abnormalities. It was people purely with cholesterol abnormalities that could not take statin medication. So that was number one. That was the population. Number two, we used the subjects as their own controls, meaning we had people use step 1 foods for one part of the trial, and then we had them use like foods from the general grocery marketplace, picked to be basically identical in terms of type and method of preparation, right? So if on the step 1 side you ate a chocolate bar, there was a comparable chocolate bar offering in the control foods. And we randomized people to either start with the control foods or start with step 1 foods. And the way it worked was, first the subject would get their cholesterol checked, and as they were walking out the door, they'd be handed a box of food. And the box of food was the only identifying information in there was, this is a fruit bar, this is a chocolate bar, this is a granola, this is a pancake mix. And they could choose from that box, any combination of those foods twice a day for an entire month as a substitute for something they were eating. Kind of like the instructions for, using step 1 foods. But sometimes they started with the store brands, sometimes they started with step 1 brands. Then they would come back at the end of a month for their second cholesterol check, and they would bring back the box of food together with a sheet that documented, what they ate and how much. They get their cholesterol rechecked, and then we'd see what was returned, right? So let's say somebody, in the first part of the trial, for whatever reason, loved pancakes, and all they ate was pancakes twice a day for a month. Well, then the second box of food that they got would be from the alternate foods. So if they got step 1 first, they would get the control foods. If they start with control foods, they get step 1 foods second, and they would have a predominance, almost exclusive, pancakes in there, so that we were testing pancakes versus pancakes, and smoothie versus shake, so that we were also controlling or trying to make it similar actually what people were eating in terms of the types of foods between the 2 occasions. And everything was matched for calorie count. So people were getting approximately the same amounts of calories for and after. After that, there was no control. We asked people to not change anything else that they were doing, and we asked them specifically not to start exercising, not to start making other dietary changes. Like, it was literally just do this. So it's pretty astonishing that in that free living environment, which is very unusual actually for food trials. Most food trials, if they're even going to be done, are carried out in a lab where someone in a white coat stands over the participant and watches them eat and then controls everything around that food, and then there's testing that's done. So this is a free living, real world evaluation. So in the real world, which is messy, we all know the real world is messy, we still got this very highly statistically significant cholesterol reduction. I'm super excited about that.